Are you trapped in should thinking? I should be, things should be, you should be. Here's the thing, should thinking is quite an insidious kind of negative thinking. It adds pressure and expectations. If you catch yourself thinking or saying things like, I should be better, I should try harder, it shouldn't happen like this shouldn't treat me like that, then what you're potentially doing is adding some unrealistic pressure and expectation either to yourself, to the situation, or to the other person. And that can lead to a build-up of negative emotion, negative feelings, and even resentment and inaction. So here's 3 things to think about in relation to tackling that should thinking. Number 1, start to catch yourself using that word should. Whether it's in relation to how you're thinking about yourself, others, an interaction, the world, a situation, or you actually are using that word. Now don't get me wrong, I do joke about should be banned, but I get that the word itself can be useful in certain situations. However, just start to notice when you're using it and ask yourself, am I adding an expectation or a pressure here to myself, others, or a situation? Which brings us on to 2. Shift that should thinking to what is and what isn't, what has and what hasn't, what will and what won't be. Deal in actuals, things that have happened or haven't happened, things that will happen or won't happen, things that are happening or are not happening. Rather than thinking it should be this and it should be that, deal with, well, is it? Is it this or is it that? Is it this or is it not? Because that way you're dragging yourself back into the real world, not into the world of should, which potentially adds an element of pressured fantasy type expectations, into actually the real world here and now, what is, what isn't, what has, what hasn't, what will, what won't. And number 3, turn that should into a could. Because the word should itself creates a limiting kind of expectation, a limiting picture of what the world should be, of this interaction, of a relationship, of an expectation from another, or how you should be, look, perform, or speak. That should is often based on stereotypes, on the expectations of others, which may be unrealistic, on how things have always been, how you've always done it. It's kind of a very fixed, limited type of thinking. So change that word should to could and open up the opportunities and the possibilities. What could happen here? Yes, this has happened and this hasn't happened, so deal in the reality, but rather than saying, well, this should happen then, deal with, well, what could? What's the opportunities here? What could be a way forward? What could happen here? What could I do? What could we do? Open up the options and the range of opportunities. In that way, you're giving your mind the opportunity to start exploring options and problem solve. Something, in general, it's very, very good at when we give it that opportunity. So think could, not should. So, should, catch yourself doing it and ask yourself, is it appropriate in this time, or am I adding some unrealistic expectation on myself? Second, ask yourself what is and what isn't. Bring it back to the tangible, what has and what hasn't happened, what will, what won't, what is happening, what isn't happening. And then turn that should into a could. Turn it from a limited perspective of what the way the world should be to an opening up of opportunities, of ideas, of options, of coulds, to help you reshape how things could be. So give it a go.
Why don't you make the Daily Sprout part of your well-being 5 a day? Sign up at dailysprout.net and never miss another Daily Sprout again.